Thank you all very much for coming in. It's great to hear your perspective and thank you very much for your information as well. Like what's been said here, we've had a number of different witnesses. We've had young people, we've had youth organisations, and overwhelmingly, I suppose the addictive nature of platforms has come up over and over again. And you know, there is a love-hate relationship with a lot of young people and myself, you know, with social media use. But so I know we do want to talk about the specifics of the case in March, but the ruling is over. You know, the ruling in March for Meta has definitely shifted the responsibility, and we don't want to speak about specifics. We've said that here, but has shifted the responsibility from the user to the platform. I mean, the ruling was, I suppose, that it is, you know, it's addictive design, and it's ruling for negligent design, I suppose. So, because of the addictive nature of it. And obviously Meta are appealing the case. But the fact that you're not, I suppose the fact you're appealing it means that you don't agree that there is negligent content or negligent by design. So if that's the case, would you think it's a good idea that autoplay, infinite scrolling and push notifications are set at the default to be turned off, that the default setting would be turned off? Rather than turned on, you know that, and I suppose I'd like to ask Richard do this as well. You know and this has been proven over and over again. I suppose that it is addictive nature because of auto scrolling, or infinite scrolling, and because of autoplay.
So, just on the court case, obviously, as you've said, we respectfully disagree with the ruling, and we will appeal that. Like in terms of separate to that, in terms of the features that we've brought in, like they are targeting the problematic use which has been coming to the fore in the conversations that we've been having with safety experts, with parents, with a whole range of stakeholders around the world. So what measures did you say that you brought in? So, for example, teen accounts, private by default. Okay. Like 60-minute use. You're not able to message adults who aren't connected with you. But autoplay. Sorry, adults aren't able to message you that aren't connected with you. So there's a whole range of things that we have brought in.
Infinite scrolling? No.
So that would be. There's two ways that would be counteracted. The first way that's counteracted is with the time limit on the use of the app. So that can be set by the parent. It can be brought down very, very low.
What's the minimum that it can be brought down to?
I think it's like 0 as far as I'm concerned. I'll double confirm that in writing afterwards. But the other way that can be set is in relation to what content is appearing in that feed. So, like, you know, giving both the teen but also the parent a way of controlling what content that they're seeing in the feed. So, as I said earlier, they're already in this 13+ type of content, but the parents can go a step further and limit that content further. So there's a whole range of things.
But there's still autoplay though. That's even if you have a time limit on it, that things you can automatically still.
Well, if you're actively scrolling, so I'm not entirely sure of the autoplay question, but like you would be swiping, you know, or you would be doing something. Yeah. Okay.
And can I just on that? I'll just stick with Meta though as well. And would you, I suppose, through algorithms, is there targeted advertising? Do you use targeted advertising for children? There's
no advertising for children. We haven't had advertising for children in the EU for a number of years.
Okay, and in Instagram, no, there's no advertising. No. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
That's for like the last number of years.
Okay, and can I ask you the same, Richard? Can I ask first of all about infinite scrolling, I suppose, and auto, and I know that has come up as a problematic for a TikTok, or you know, a lot that has come up here in this conversation.
Sure. And I think you're completely right to be focusing on design features and what are appropriate for teens and what aren't. We've looked at the evidence on this, and the evidence is really clear that some features like direct messaging and going live are really risky, and that's why we've taken specific steps to restrict those for youngest users. When it comes to scroll, I think for us, that's about making a conscious decision, and it's not just about continuing to watch, it's about skipping things that people don't like, not necessarily harmful content, but content that someone just isn't interested in. We think that's an appropriate mechanism to say, actually, I don't want to be watching this, I want to watch something else. With autoplay...
And autoplay is a huge problem.
So autoplay isn't something we would say is on by default, because you have to skip to the next video, and then a video will play. It's not like, regardless of whether you're logged in or logged out, if you are on TikTok and you watch a video, it won't play you a new video. You have to make that conscious choice to move to
So
another
you don't
one.
think it's addictive? You don't think the nature of TikTok is designed to be addictive to keep people on the platform?
No, I don't think I've seen a sort of a clinical sort of diagnostic of addiction. I think what we have is a platform that tries to recommend videos that we think people will find useful, find interesting, whether it's educational or just fun. It's a place for people to explore those different topics that interest them.
And how about targeted advertising? Would you agree that, like, does TikTok use deliberate advertising for children?
I'll take that question,
Okay.
Senator. So we have both a moral obligation and a legal obligation to protect younger users when it comes to advertising. So under the Digital Services Act, we are prohibited by law from servicing advertisements to teenagers under the age of 18 based on profiling. So it's not permitted. We also, as a company, make a decision around the types of advertising that we do permit on our platform. We don't, permit everything. So we have restrictions on HFSS, for example. So it's almost, I would say that the advertising revenue that is generated from teenagers is actually almost negligible in Ireland.
Have you figures on that and how much that?
I can't give you a figure,
Okay,
but
you might provide it later, Yeah, that'd be great. And I suppose, how would you feel about, has the impact of, the social media ban for under 16s, has that, how, would you be in agreement with that, or, and I suppose, so I might ask you, Dulta, as well, how would you feel about an under 16 ban here in Ireland?
So, I think it depends on, number one, what we're talking about, and number two, what we're trying to achieve. I think Australia has brought in a certain model, targeting a number of companies. What we've seen there is that other apps are being used, perhaps apps that don't have the same amount of safety restrictions and that don't have the same amount of regulation. Let's be clear about it. I think the other, just very, very briefly, I think if we're trying to achieve an ecosystem solution to ensuring that parents are involved in deciding which apps aren't being used by their children and basing that decision on, what are the safety tools that are in place on each of those services, I think the OS level solution that we've been talking about would be the way forward. And it would also not allow for the VPN type workaround that's being used in Australia as well. So that's why we think that's the right solution, but we're not dogmatic. If there's something else, great.
Richard.
And
I just want to ask one question to YouTube, or to Google yourselves, but if, am I right thinking that YouTube Kids, that autoplay is turned off on that?
Yeah,
And-
it's
and-
all under 18s.
All under 18s?
By default, it's turned off.
Oh, is that? All right, because I was going to, and so why isn't it turned off for over 18s? Because I know we say young people can often access adult accounts, like their parents' accounts. Isn't that from 13 to 18 that with parental consent can't young people access?
So we have YouTube Kids, which is a standalone app, which
and it's
is
turned off on
designed
that.
for under 13s.
Okay.
It's turned off on that, but it's also turned off. Autoplay is off by default for 13 to 18 on YouTube Main as well. So that's, again, to help prevent against people.
But it's not from 18 up, it's not, it's turned off.
I don't think so, but I think people can turn it off.
Okay, and why wouldn't it be set off? But I'm just talking again about the addictive nature, and I suppose, why wouldn't it be?
adults, you mean?
Yeah.
I think we put those tools in to allow adults to customise their own experience, but, the tools that we put in place for young people, for under 18s, are recognising those developmental needs, such as needing tools to be defaulted off.
And which
whereas
that
for
part,
adults, it's more of they can choose to customise their own experience and give flexibility.
But YouTube were involved in the ruling in LA as well, and for around addictive, and they were found, I suppose, that you are using addictive design. Is that?
Well, as my colleague said, we would refute the findings of that particular case, and we don't think it reflects the sort of decades-long work that we've done investing in kids' spaces like YouTube Kids, and trying to build age-appropriate experiences and tools that billions of people use every day. But we don't see this as a sort of a fait accompli. We want to keep investing. We want to keep getting better at this. We think kids deserve that.
And I suppose having it automatically turned off, I suppose, could be something.
Yeah, and I think when we've been talking about bans, there's been a lot of talk about bans and restrictions, and we didn't get to answer that question before. But the way we see that is that wholesale bans are not going to be an effective way of dealing with kids' safety. It's not going to incentivise platforms to do child safety work, and we don't really think they'll work. Kids will just go to other spaces if you just ban a handful of particular
YouTube
apps.
Shorts, I suppose, particularly YouTube Shorts, that it's you constantly, and I guess, I suppose, as part of this committee, like in Ireland, young persons up to 24, so it's just an argument that why would you not have it set that it's automatically not turned on? You know, that autoplay is a default for adult accounts as well, from 18
So again, we think we should be focusing at those features that you mentioned,
the features,
as opposed to whole services, and that's where maybe we need better controls and restrictions, and that's why we've brought in the YouTube Shorts timer, for example, which we've fairly recently introduced, which can allow parents to set that to 0. Autoplay is default off for under 18s. We do have default on wellbeing tools and things. And
thank you.